we would never be able to get this education in our own country. And the government here was aware of it because Colin Powell exempted these students from the boycott. So they know that what the United States can't do, this tiny little island is doing. So there are lots of good things to be understood and learned about Cuba, which, I mean, I've always said that the Cubans and Venezuelans could learn a lot from each other. The Venezuelans could learn on how to produce a social infrastructure that serves the people, and the Cubans could learn that having critical voices in a country is not always harmful. It keeps you on your toes and it makes you more alert.
Well, let's go to a clip from Paraguayan President Fernando Lugo from the film.
It hasn't been easy to create change in this country. Here, there's a group which has historically been privileged in the government with the country's resources. We want to be consistent with the theory of liberation theology. If there are going to be the privileged, then it has to be those who in the past have been forgotten. The indigenous, the landless, the uneducated, the sick. Those are the ones who need to be the first priority. We are committed to honesty, transparency, and to give back dignity to our institutions, and with much more social justice.
The Paraguayan President Lugo, the significance of this priest-turned-president?
Well, the significance is that Paraguay is a country which has essentially been a one-party state for so long that people forgot when it was anything else. And the stranglehold of this party and the country's rich prevented anything from coming up. And then you have this priest, you know, a bishop who sort of was later discarded his bishop's frocks, leading the people, fighting for the poor, and actually winning an election. And I think one reason that happened is because of the changes taking place elsewhere in South America. I remember I was giving a talk in Porto Alegre at one of the World Social Forums, and sitting in the 6th row somewhere was this priest from Paraguay, which was good. And later on, he told a friend of mine, oh, I know him, I heard him speak at Porto Alegre. So the mixture that was South America helped propel him to power, and people felt confident. They're saying, if they can do it in other parts of South America, why can't we? So he was an incredibly popular figure, and as I must say, the scale of his victory stunned us, because we thought they might rig the elections or do something, but the mood was so overwhelming, and the number of poor who turned up to vote was so huge that they couldn't do it. So it goes to show that the collective spirit of South America, which we haven't seen for a very long time, which the Cubans in the 60s and 70s were hoping for, you know, OLAS and this and that, is now coming to fruition. For how long, we don't know, but till now, the U.S. hasn't been able to turn that tide back. And with allies like Colombia, it is very unlikely that they will. And had they not rigged the elections in Mexico, we would have had a different president there, too. Before
you leave us, Tariq, we wanted to go to another continent. We wanted to talk about Afghanistan and Pakistan. You are from Pakistan. Mm-hmm. Your latest book is on Pakistan. You've written many. The book called The Dual Pakistan on the Flight Path of American Power. What do you think of Obama's war now in Afghanistan and what's happening in Pakistan?
Look, if you look at Obama, that on all the other foreign policy issues, he basically continued with Bush's policies. Let's be blunt about this. In Afghanistan, he went beyond Bush. He escalated the war. He went along with this policy of the surge, and he ordered more drone attacks on civilians in Pakistan in his 1 year in office than Bush had done during his last term. So for the people of that region, Obama's presidency has been a total disaster. And it's not working. If you read the reports coming out of Afghanistan, they're losing more people. There are more casualties. More Afghan civilians are being killed. They have a puppet leader, Karzai, who's developing his own sort of dynamic because he's grown very wealthy through corruption and thinks that he has genuine support. Puppets sometimes have these illusions. And he can't be got rid of because they've got no one to replace him. So they are really stuck in Afghanistan. And there are divisions, as we know, within the U.S. military political establishment on this war. And the ones who are saying that this is an unwinnable war are absolutely right. It's a stalemated war. They can't win it unless they destroy half the population of the country. And the impact on Pakistan of the continued drone attacks and the continued secret war going on in Pakistan? Well, this is it. The drones have been killing civilians. I mean, I point out that the day that the tragedy happened in Tehran and that young woman Neda was killed, accidentally, it so happens, but she was killed, which was terrible and a tragedy. We had a moist-eyed president in the White House talking to the media. What a terrible tragedy that was. And the same day, a drone attack in Pakistan killed 50 innocents, mainly women and children, who didn't even make it onto the news bulletins. So that is what people see. And then why are they surprised that people are so hostile to the United States in that part of the world?
We'll have to leave it there. Tariq Ali, British Pakistani political commentator, historian, activist, filmmaker. He co-wrote the screenplay South of the Border, his latest book, The Duel, Pakistan and the Flight Path of American Power. That does it for our broadcast. Democracy Now! Produced by Mike Berkshire, Fadokadus, Aramate, Angelique Ahmed, Steve Martinez, Nicole Salazar, Hani Masood, Robbie Karen, Mike DeFilippo, Peter Curries-Minder, and Miguel Naguer are engineers. We'll be broadcasting from Detroit for the next 3 days for the U.S. Social Forum. Then we'll be broadcasting from Toronto on Friday, the G20 Summit. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Thanks for joining us.